All right, guys. Very excited about this message. The name of this sermon is going to be called Bad Conscience. Bad Conscience. And you'll see why I'm excited about this message just because I get to share a silly example like I always do in a lot of my messages. But let me say this. Whoever this is for, maybe you are at a point where your only problem really maybe it seems like you've got a lot of problems in your life and maybe you want God to solve some issues for you, but really you only really have one real problem, really. And if you would deal with this problem, a lot of other things would be solved automatically. But you've got to acknowledge this problem before something can really be done about it. And you may say, well, what is it? It's having a bad conscience, which is leading you to a guilty conscience that you refuse to do anything about because you don't want to reverse your decisions and reverse some things. And so it's causing some problems. You may say, what do you mean? What is a bad conscience? Well, let me share this real quick. Forever ago, I did this sermon. I don't remember the name of it, but I remember some of what I talked about. And what I was sharing was this. I was reading from a section of the Bible where someone was told to be of good comfort. And I said, that really stood out to me because I'm thinking, comfort, when I think of the word comfort, it's already a good thing. If you're comfortable, that's good. You feel good. So why would he say be of good comfort? Why not just say be of comfort? And so I realized that if there's such a thing as good comfort, then there must be a bad comfort. And upon realizing that, the sermon just came to me and I explained that in a bad comfort, what I'm saying is you get comfortable around certain people or in certain places that you shouldn't be in or around or near. And so maybe God is trying to move you from people or move you from situations or move you from places that are not of God because you are in a bad comfort. You are comfortable in these situations you shouldn't be in. And eventually it's going to cause you to sin. It's going to cause you to stumble. So then later on down the line, months later, reading through my Bible, and I got my idea for a sermon. And I was talking about bad cheer. In fact, I think that's what I named it, bad cheer. And what I explained was I said, I'm reading here in the Bible. There's a part here that's talking about be of good cheer. And I said, I got to thinking, wait a minute. When I think of cheer, I'm thinking cheer is already good. Being cheerful, being full of cheer and cheering for somebody. I said, so why say be of good cheer, not just say be of cheer? And then I realized that if there's a good cheer, there must be such a thing as a bad cheer. And when I realized it, I was like, wait a minute, this makes sense. Because many times when we cheer for something good and we cheer for people we like. It's kind of like at a football game when people cheer on their team because they're winning, and so they cheer harder. So you're giving a positive vibes and positive feedback to those you like, and you're cheering on their success. I said, but sometimes we get excited and full of cheer when bad things happen to good people simply because we may have something against them. Even though they didn't do nothing to us, we're jealous and we're spiteful. And so when something good happens to, or something bad happens to that good person, we're excited about it and we want to cheer and be happy about it when they're not looking, and high five our buddies about it and say, oh, look what happened. Well, now I have another message on something else that I've realized. And it's this part of 1 Peter chapter 3. Turn there if you're following along in the word. 1 Peter chapter 3. It's verse 16. And it says this. It starts out saying this: having a good conscience. I read that while reading through my Bible, and I've read this before. I've read 1 Peter before, but I was thinking, wait a minute. Good conscience? I thought it was already good to have a conscience. So I had another one of those moments. I was like, wait a minute. if there's such a good thing, or if there's such a thing as a good conscience, there must be something called a bad a bad conscience. So let me investigate. What does that mean? What would that even mean? And so as I continued to read, it all started to make sense. And this sermon began to unfold for me. And I'm like, okay, now I know what my next message is going to be about. And this is going to be for somebody. I know it. Somebody listening is going to need this. So somebody has a good, or not a good conscience, but a bad conscience. Well, what is a conscience in the first place? A conscience is simply knowing right from wrong, having that morality about yourself, to know good from evil, right from wrong. It's that thing inside of you that when you're about to do wrong, it says, no, don't do that. You know it's not right. You know right from wrong. In other words, you know better. And as the saying goes, when you know better, you do better, right? So that's to have a conscience, and to have a conscience seemed to be already a good thing. But it says having a good conscience. Well, what would be the difference between having a conscience and having a good conscience? And then I realized, just because you have a conscience, just because you know right from wrong, does not always mean you're going to do the right thing. Some people, when they know better, they don't do better. So it's not that they don't know. It's not that they don't have the conscience. They just don't go by it. So to go by your conscience is to have the good conscience. But when you continue to go against what's right for your own personal gain, you have the bad conscience, which ends up leading you to the guilty conscience. And so while reading and getting these verses ready, these different scriptures I'm going to get to you ready, everything just started to come to me of what I needed to say. And whoever this is for, here's why you have a bad conscience. It's this. The reason for you why you have the bad conscience is this. There are people, let me put it to you this way. You know, like how in high school you have, like, you know, the popular people and these types of people and those types of people, you know, how we all want to categorize and stereotype each other. And you have those that sometimes are called the cool people or the popular people or whatever. And you have some people, because they're so attention starved, maybe they're attention starved at home, or maybe they don't have friends at school or whatever. Sometimes they want to fit in so bad that they change who they are so that they can blend in, or hopefully get in good with the cool kids so that they can feel like a somebody. Because that's, in other words, they look at it as, this is how I'll build my self-worth. I can be a something or a somebody. So they go against what they know is right, and they may do things that they normally would not do just to try to impress these people so that they can fit in. Now, I'm using that as an example, but I have a feeling I'm talking to some folks that are not in high school. I feel like I'm talking to some people that are adults, but even though it's been forever probably since you've been out of school, you're in that mode of, I have finally found my place where I belong, I fit in, but in order to fit in, I have to go against a lot of things that I know is morally wrong, things that I know that the Lord is not happy with me on. But I'm going to do this so that I can finally fit in. And the cool part is, these people that I'm in with, they're the cool kids. They're adults, but in your mind, they're like the cool kids of, like, adult high school, if there ever was that. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying. So that's almost like where you're at. So if you're somebody, you're an adult, you're a Christian, you've been wanting to get close to God, or maybe you have been, but maybe you've gotten to a place where you have found your niche in with a group of people. And you want so bad to continue to belong and to fit in, because now you feel like you've got friends. Now you feel like you've got family. Now you feel like you've got this. Now you feel like you've got attention. Now you feel like you got that. Now that you listen, and notice how I keep talking about feelings, you're so wrapped up in how it feels so good that you're purposely ignoring the reality that you have changed to become who you're not, and you're doing things that you don't feel comfortable doing just to fit in. And it's to the point where the leader or leaders, if you will, of your group, it's like they've got their thumb down on you. They can get you to do and say stuff to people that you normally wouldn't, but you do it and it don't feel right. And when you do it, you feel some type of way, as they say, as the saying goes, feeling some type of way. And that's what it is. It's that guilty conscience. You went from a good conscience to a bad conscience because you're ignoring what you know is right and wrong. And so then when you keep doing wrong and you end up doing people wrong that are outside of this group, now you're feeling some type of way, but you won't stop because you know in stopping, you're not going to get that attention from those that have got their thumb down on you. And you know that other people in the group might start looking at you a certain type of way because they're just like you. They're just trying to get their moment too. Their imaginary 15 minutes of fame too. And I'm not saying this to be mean, but it's almost as if many of you in this clique are insecure for your own personal reasons, that God forbid you find your way out of this clique because it's taking away from what is your security blanket. But I'm here to tell you, as a child of God, you don't have to be a part of it. You keep trying to go with the flow. The problem is that the flow is not the flow of the Holy Spirit. It's just you going with the flow of man, and man is dragging you down. But because you're around some folks that are not judging you, so to speak, and I don't know what your insecurity is. Maybe you have trouble losing weight, and maybe you've been made fun of for your weight, but these people accept you. Maybe you're one of those people that you got freckles, and because you don't like your freckles and you think they make you look ugly, well, these people don't judge you. Or, oh, well, you know, I've struggled to have good relationships, and my last husband left me and everybody else leaves me, so now that I'm in this group, I'm surrounded by these guys that compliment me, and I don't know what it is. I don't know. But whatever your personal insecurity is that won't let you get out of this mess so that you can have your little, like that dude on Charlie Brown, the Peanuts cartoon, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, and you had that one dude that carried around that blanket. Was it Lionel or was it somebody else? But one of the characters, they had that blanket that they carried around and they dragged it and it was all dirty. Yeah, it's like, that's your little security blanket. But if you don't put it down, anyway, I just thought of that just now. I just had to share it, the little Charlie Brown thing. It came to me and it was perfect. But seriously, okay, your security is in Christ. You're a child of God. You should already be secure in that. If nobody else loves you, God does. Verse 16, and having a good conscience. What here? Let me go ahead and read this verse so we can compare and contrast to see what this is causing you. What's going on here? So this is talking about what happens to those that have a good conscience. It says this: having a good conscience, that whereas they speak evil of you as of evildoers, they may be ashamed that falsely accuse your good conversation in Christ. So if having a good conscience in Christ and good conversation in Christ causes other people to at times speak evil of you, but in the long run they're ashamed, then that says that for the one who is of bad conscience, the opposite is for them. So, in other words, for you, it's the opposite. In other words, for you, listen, because you're willing to do and say anything, you are in positions where, in order to fit in the conversations that the people in your clique are having, when they talk a certain way about somebody, you feel like you got to talk bad about them too, even if you know what they're saying ain't true, even if you know they're making up stuff. So when they're speaking evil, you chime in. You got to have something that's going to top what everybody else in the group says. You got to one up everybody so everybody can high five you. Come on. But while you're speaking the evil, what happens is you're the one that ends up shamed. Hence the guilty conscience. So you do somebody wrong, but then later when you see them out in public and they're still nice to you, they're still willing to say hi, and they don't talk bad to you or about you back. They still try to do right by you, and it messes you up when they do it, because it's a reminder of how you're in the wrong, so you can't even look them in the eye no more. You see them out in public, and as soon as they look at you and smile and get ready to wave their hand and say hi, you can't even look them in the eye. You literally act like they're not there waving at you. You see them out of your peripheral, but you can't, and you just got that face like you don't know what to think. You don't want to be too nice, because that's betrayal to your clique. But you don't want to be mean, because you know it's not right. So now you're just at a standstill. You just can't react at all. Okay. Let's see here. Go with me to Proverbs. Let me say this real quick. This will help too. What example do I want to use first? Oh my goodness. Let me share this one real quick. Back when I was in high school, I remember there was this one girl. Years prior to this, we were cool. We weren't super close friends, but we were cool. We may kind of talk or whatever. And then there got to a point where she had her own, group of friends she would hang out with in between classes and, whatever. Well, I remember one day, a lot of us were just standing outside because it was during lunchtime. Some people didn't eat lunch. Some of us did. But when we did eat, and y'all know me, y'all know I ate. But anyway, when those of us that did get done eating in the cafeteria, we would go outside and we would just kind of hang out around some of the different school buildings, just kind of outside talking, waiting for the bell to ring so we could go to class. So I'm standing out there, and sometimes I'd be standing out there talking to people, and sometimes I'd be by myself, and sometimes I may be talking to some other people, and sometimes I might be by myself. I'm just the type of person, if you like me, you like me, and if you don't, you don't. I mean, I'm not going to try to make you, want me to be in your clique or anything. I talk to different people of different, groups or cliques or whatever. I didn't think I was better than anybody or too good for anybody. If we got along, we just got along. And so I liked having people to talk to, but sometimes I just needed a moment to just be by myself and think and reflect. I'm a thinker. Sometimes I just gotta spend time alone just thinking about some stuff. And so this one particular day, I wasn't talking with anybody. I was just kind of, by myself, and the bell rang. And so I start leaving, and or I start walking to get ready to go into the building where I was going to have my next class. Well, as I'm walking, this particular girl that I was telling y'all about, who we hadn't spoken in forever, she comes up to me, and she's like, "Hey, I'm going to walk with you until I see my friends." And I was like, okay. So I'm walking, and usually I would walk at a pretty, brisk speed. And she's like, no, no, slow down, slow down, slow down. What she was doing was this. I don't know where her buddies were, but they were not on the scene at the moment. But she was too insecure to be seen alone. You know how some people in high school, they're afraid to be seen by themselves because it makes them look unpopular or uncool or unwanted. That's what it was. She had that insecurity about her, and she didn't know. I don't know if she didn't know where her group was, or if she did, and I don't know. But they weren't around, so she came up to me, basically kind of to use me like I'm a mannequin or something. Like, okay, I'm gonna walk with you until I see my actual friends, and then I'm gonna leave and go run over to them. Which is what she did. So at least she was honest. Some people would say, man, that was rude of her, but she was honest. So she's trying to attach herself to me, and she's like, no, no, slow down. Now, what I'm saying is, no, I'm good. But in my mind, I'm saying, no, I'm not gonna slow down. You're gonna use me to try to not, to seem not so, alone on campus, because it's gonna be so embarrassing if people see you by yourself. So you don't really want to hang with me. You're just with me to try to use me to not look alone, and then when you find the people you actually care about, you're gonna run over to them. But if that's what you want to do, fine, but I'm not gonna slow down to your pace. You want to follow me around to use me, then keep up with my pace. That's what I'm saying. But if she's saying slow down, I'm just like, no, I'm good, no, I'm fine, I'm just gonna keep walking. But I just keep thinking to myself, nope, you gonna follow me to use me, fine. You gonna keep up with my pace. You just go keep up with my pace. But and then sure enough, when she saw her friend, she took off. She needed me to slow down, but when she saw her friend, she was going full speed. She was going faster than me, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, why I have to slow down? but you get my point. And so sometimes, I'll put it this way, it's almost as if when you're not around your clique, it's like you're offended when the world does not slow down for you. Oh man. And when I say the world, I don't necessarily mean the people of the world as in the opposite of Christians. I just mean in general. Because we use that expression, the world's not going to slow down for you, or time's not going to stop for you. That's what I mean. It's like when everybody else in your group ain't around, you're mad because you can't have other people under your thumb the way people have their thumb over you. And so when certain folks don't care that you're in with the cool clique, you don't know how to handle it. It's like, you think a certain way about it. You don't know how to handle it. Like, it's almost like you've got this mindset of, well, why wouldn't you slow down for me, so to speak? Why wouldn't you want to be seen with me? I'm part of this group over here, but some people don't care about what you care. Oh my goodness. Some people don't care about what you care about. What's cool and popular to you might not be cool and popular to everybody else. And it's not that people are crazy and that they are just so ignorant and misinformed and don't get it. They simply just don't care. Oh man. But to you, it's just they just don't get it. They don't get that when you're on the scene, they're just in the midst of amazingness because of who you're associated with. And they're not slowing down for you, and you don't know why. But it's an imagination. Okay. All right. So this is what can happen. Either you'll be in one of two situations when you're in this type of mindset. Either you will be the type of person, when you are confronted about how you are, you will either be the type that you will agree, but you don't want to apply it, or you're the type that will be in denial and you'll lie to yourself about it. And this is what I mean. Using another example, when I was in school, there was this one particular girl. She was a very good looking girl, and there were a lot of people that would want to hang out with her and get to know her. But the thing about it was, when people did get to know her, they really did not like her personality. They viewed her as mean, as rude, arrogant, better than everybody else. And they didn't like the way she had this attitude and the way she talked. And people would call her the B word and call, Now they didn't say it to her face. They just said it behind her back. But and then the crazy thing is, there were even a lot of guys that really did not like her, but they only wanted to try to date her just so they could say, "Hey, I got her." You know what I mean? So this is what happened. This particular girl, I'll just call her Girl A. Girl A, she's got her, group of friends, and they got their clique. And the thing about this clique was they stuck their noses up to a lot of people, and y'all know that's an expression, a saying, sticking your nose up. And what that simply means is, it's like the same as saying that somebody's on a high horse. In other words, they get around people and they got this attitude like, who are you? You're not a part of our group. Who are you? You ain't nothing. You ain't nobody. You ain't one of us. They had that kind of demeanor and kind of air about them. But anyway, but the thing was, some of the people in Person A's group, when you saw them alone or with other people, they were super cool, nice. You could get along with them. But when they got together and they were around Person A, they acted like her. They had that same attitude. And so I noticed it, and I would notice how they were towards certain people and even towards me at times, but then I would see how they were individually. And it just really kind of like, I would just kind of ponder on it, like, what, this is strange, And I remember one day, one of the girls that was in Person A's clique, I'll just call her Person B. One day, I was somewhere on campus, and Person B, Girl B, she was not with anybody else in the clique, but she was talking to this guy who was not a part of the clique, and they were having this one-on-one conversation, and I just so happened to be at the right place at the right time to hear it. And what the guy was saying was, they were talking about Person A, right? So Person B, one of the members of Person A's group, was talking to an outside person, somebody who's not a part of the group. So they're talking about Person A. And the guy is, I don't remember his exact words, but he was saying, she's really, she's not a nice person. Like, she's da-da-da-da-da. And Person B, who is part of Person A's clique, was like, yeah, she's really not da-da-da-da-da. She's really not a good person. She really is da-da-da-da-da. And it wasn't like she hesitated to agree. Like, she was in full agreement with him. But still, when she got back around Person A, she went right back to being like Person A. So this is how you may be. That when somebody in the group ain't gonna say nothing, but if somebody outside of the group hits you with the reality check, you'll be like, yeah, you're right. They really are just da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But as soon as you get back in the clique, ain't nothing gonna change. You're not gonna say, hey, the way you treat people is wrong. The way you do me is wrong. This is wrong. I don't like this. This makes me uncomfortable. Da-da-da-da-da. You're not gonna do any of that. Nor are you gonna walk away from the group. You just keep going right back to it and participating. So you know the truth, you ignore it. You don't deny it, you just kind of ignore it. Or you do what I said, the other thing was, you get offended, you're in denial. And I'll tell you what I mean. They have this expression called brown nosing. And brown nosing is simply another way of saying kissing somebody's butt. Right? Because that's kind of what you're doing. Yeah. But the reason why they call it brown nosing is, it's like they're saying this. It's like saying that you're kissing butt but your nose is so far up somebody's rear end while you're kissing them that when you pull out, it's almost like you got some fecal matter on your nose. So they call it brown nosing. Makes sense. You're brown nosing, but if confronted about the dookie sitting on your nose that's somebody else's, you don't want to wipe off the dookie. It's like you want to look at it as, well, they're just jealous because they're not me, or they're just jealous that they're not a part of the group. So that's why they want to try to tell me something. That's why they want to try to warn me about what's going on. They're just jealous. But there has to come a point where you don't lie to yourself about it. It's not that people are jealous or they're trying to tear you down because you got this so-called newfound confidence. That's not what it is. The doo-doo is really right there. They really see it. The people in the group are not going to say you got the dookie on your nose because they got dookie on their nose. I'll put it to you this way. This happened today, and I was like, this is perfect for this sermon. Earlier today, my mom's at work, and I went to check on her dog, and I let the dog out, and her name's Bella. Bella, she's running around the yard, and she sees some dookie from some other animal. She goes over, she kind of licks on it, and I'm like, no, don't do that. So I pick her up to move her somewhere else, and she starts licking me on my nose. So I wipe, and I kind of smell my hand, and I'm like, oh man, my nose gonna smell like dookie. Let me go wash my nose off. And then I realized the way that I felt at that moment is how you appear. Let me say that again. The way I felt is how you appear, but your problem is that you won't go and wash it off. I said, oh man, I went to go wash it off. You say, you're jealous, and you don't wash it off. You don't wash it off. You just act like you didn't just brown nose somebody. It's like you don't know that someone else's dookie is on your nose. Okay. Proverbs 6:14. Forwardness is in his heart. Forwardness can mean perversity, and it can mean fraud. And that's basically what you become, is a fraud. You're one person, but you've let these people that really don't have the best interest at heart for you you let them make you into another person. And so what you are now is a fraud. You're not the real deal. Forwardness is in his heart. He devises mischief continually. He soweth discord. So these people that you are around, what I'm describing is the characteristics of these people in these groups or cliques that have their thumb down on you. But what I'm trying to show you is you're coming across to be just like them. You're in your mind, there's a separation, but to others who are on the outside looking in at this group that you think are looking because they're jealous, they're trying to okay, never mind. You get what I'm saying. This is what they're seeing when they see you now, but you're thinking, well, that's not really me, but I got to put on this front, but it's making you a fraud. Like the people that have their thumb down on you, it's causing you to go after mischief, just like the people that's got their thumb down on you. And now you're sowing discord. What is discord? Discord can mean strife, contention, brawl, B-R-A-W-L, kind of like a battle or a fight. Okay, and contest. So it's like when you sow discord, it's like you're bringing a contest and competition, unnecessary competition. I'm not talking about a friendly competition. I'm talking it's like causing people to be at ends with one another for your own entertainment almost, or for your own benefit. And so these are the characteristics. Now we know that the word we see throughout the Bible that you reap what you sow. We have this thing called sowing and reaping. You reap what you sow. And usually when we say you reap what you sow, we mean it as a good thing. When you reap or when you sow something, which means to send out, you reap something. You put a plant in the ground, then something grows, and you can reap what you've sown. A lot of times people say you want more money, you sow into something, you help somebody else financially, you get a gain or whatever, however you want to look at it. We use it for positive, but it also applies to the negative. When you sow something negative, you can reap negative in return. So it's interesting that it says that you don't just do discord or you cause discord. It specifically says that you sow discord. Well, if you reap what you sow and you sow discord, that means at some point you will reap discord. So when you do things or you are a part of people that just purposely does this stuff, you in it at a point where reap. But now look at this. It says this: therefore shall his calamity come suddenly. Suddenly shall he be broken without remedy. So it's talking about like a fall, if you will, a great fall, a calamity, a destruction coming suddenly without remedy. In other words, there's no healness, there's no remedy, there's no help, there's no cure. And you may say, well, Jesus is the remedy of all things. Jesus is a remedy, but if you are not, oh my gosh, if you're not doing what he says, if you're not being Christ-like, if you're not living for him, if you have made these people, this clique and these people that have their thumb down on you, your idol, and you choose to do things their way that are contrary to the Lord's way, then what's the point of calling him Lord? He's made it clear. Why call me Lord if you do not what I say? So these people you idolize, that's just it. You idolize them so much that you made an idol out of them. And you're more concerned about them and their will that it causes you to step out of the will of God for you. And so, oh goodness, so you leave yourself without a remedy. Now, the fall is really for them, but if they've got you so attached at the hip, so to speak, with them, you don't think that when calamity comes their way, they're going to fall, they're going to cause you to fall with them? If they rose you up, and you looked at promotion from them instead of promotion from the Lord, you don't think they're going to try to tear you down with them if push comes to shove? You don't think when you're not around they're going to point the finger and blame stuff on you that was really their idea in the first place? You don't think they're going to drag you through the mud like how they convinced you to drag other people through the mud? You just think you're going to get out of this scotch-free if you don't get out of it on your own in the first place? Hello? And some of you might be listening, agreeing, but you're so in denial. It's like, oh, well, I just can't believe. Not that you don't believe it, but you're just convincing yourself. I just can't believe they would do something like that to me because of these imaginations. Yeah, okay. So it's almost like it's an animated toilet paper commercial. You know, when they want to advertise their toilet paper to show you how soft and durable it is, it's almost like if calamity comes their way and there's a fall, they're going to bring you down so that they can land on you and then bounce back up and land on their feet. Like it's a toilet paper commercial. Like you're the toilet paper, like you're the Charmin roll, and they just go, just bounce off of you. And it wouldn't be too shocking because you've been brown nosing them, so you made yourself toilet paper. Okay, you made yourself toilet paper anyway. So okay. 16. Look at this list. These 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. These are characteristics of those that you may be serving right now. Let me say this. If any of you remember, I believe it was the last sermon that I did, I was in 2 Kings, and I was talking about Jehu. He was the one that put a stop to Jezebel's reign. He was the one that he came on the scene, saw her in the window, told 2 or 3 eunuchs to knock her down. The dogs went after her and ate her up after he had trod her underfoot with the horse. Okay, God had said that what was going to play out in her destruction or calamity was that her her body would be ate by the dogs, but what would be left would be her skull, her hands, or the palms of her hands and her feet. The list that I just gave you here in Proverbs lines up with it. Why? Because all these things that it's talking about that God doesn't like are things that are evil things produced from the head, the hands, and the feet. Watch verse 17 again. A proud look, and the word that look is translated from, the Hebrew word is translated from, can mean eyes, whether literally or figuratively. So eyes, now look at this, a lying tongue. So eyes and tongue are in your head or your skull. Watch this. And hands, they're shedding us in blood. There's hands. Verse 18, a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations. So I talked about imaginations, but heart, this word is translated from a word that can mean heart and also mind and soul, which makes sense because your soul is made up of your mind, will, and emotions. When you think of mind, you think of brain, which is in your skull. So a heart or a mind that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift to running into mischief. So there's your feet. A false witness that speaketh lies, you speak with your mouth, part of your head, your skull. And he that soweth discord among brethren, which is something that you could use any of it for, your head, your hands, or your feet, to sow this discord, to send something out there. So it was almost like God saying, I'm going to let the dogs eat her up, but what I'm going to leave left are the main things that cause my people destruction. In other words, all that's going to be left, when it's all said and done, people are going to look and be like, wait a minute, this is what's caused us all this trouble? This head and these hands and these little dainty feet? You mean this is what caused prophets to be hiding in caves and people being killed off, people of God being killed off and turning themselves over to idolatry, sitting at that table eating these things sacrificed on the animals or false gods? That's what's going on here. It's almost like there's a setup to where when the calamity comes, the calamity happens, the destruction happens, the downfall happens, people will have to look and say, wait a minute, that's it? This? Y'all, I thought y'all were just all that. Y'all were supposed to be all that in a bag of chips. Y'all were the cool people. Y'all were the so-called, y'all got it together. Y'all, it must be cool to be a part of y'all's clique, and this is it. This is all that's left. But it's like he's saying what's hidden comes to light. What people don't realize will be shown. The veil will be ripped. People will see you for who you really are. They'll see what you've done, how you've done it, how it's played out, but how you're really not what you've been cracked up to be. You're really not who you've paraded yourself to be. You're really a fraud. So let me talk about this as I get close to wrapping this message up. There may be somebody or some people listening and it has applied to you, this message has applied to you, but maybe you're thinking within yourself, well, yeah, I get that maybe some of this is for me, but I I know I'm in the wrong, but I just don't want to quit. I don't want to, let go of these people. I don't want to get out of the clique. I want to keep myself attached to these people. I want to keep doing what they do because I've experienced things that I haven't experienced before. I've had fun in certain ways that I haven't had with people before, and I've gotten to go places and meet certain people that I wouldn't have gotten to meet, and blah, 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 blah. And maybe you're just like, I know I'm in the wrong, but I don't know. I don't know how to let go. I just don't know what to do. I love God and everything, but and I know that this is not a good attachment that I got, and I know it's causing me to, go against the Lord, but I don't know what to do. I don't want to let go. That may be what you're thinking or saying. And so let me help you out. Let me further convince you of why it's time for you to let go and detach and do what you know is right. Go to Genesis, first book of the Bible, chapter 26. And as y'all that are following along go there, let me say this real quick. There may be some people listening who this message has not applied to you, and you might be thinking, well, hold on. Why in the world would some people that feel like the message is for them, why would they not want to receive it and do right if there's a possibility of reaping what they're sowing? And why would somebody reject what you're saying if they know it's for them? Well, let me help you out real quick. Let me kind of paint a picture for you. Let me say this real quick. I remember years ago there was this church that I was going to, and the preacher, he gets up to the podium thing, and he's opening his Bible up, and he's getting ready to start his sermon because we had just got done with worship. And you could tell because he wore his emotions on his sleeve like crazy. So, and anger was a big thing. So if he was mad, like, he was gonna let you know he was frustrated in one way or another. So he was and he said he was so mad, but he was trying to stay calm. He was trying to contain himself. He said, God has been trying to tell somebody something. So I hope this time, whoever needs this word, that they finally get it already so I can move on and talk about something else. And what he meant was this. This was probably like the sermon he was about to give was probably like maybe his probably third sermon that he was going to give, talking about a certain topic, and I don't even remember what it was. But what it was this: he had done some sermons, and they were different sermons, and he may have talked on different scriptures, taught different scriptures, or read from different stories, but he was making some similar points. And so this sermon he was about to do was also about to make some similar points to the past, 2, maybe 3 sermons he had already done. So what he was saying was, it was like he was saying, God's given me this word. He's given me these messages. And it was like he was saying, I keep seeing these similar things that I'm going over, even though they're all new messages and it's not the exact word for word same sermon, but I'm still hitting some of the same points. So evidently somebody that I'm preaching to just ain't getting what he's saying. And so I'm having to not really move forward fully the way I need to. And and now I think I get what he was saying, because, and not that I'm frustrated or anything. I just look at it as, it's something else for me to preach on, just another message for me to preach on. I enjoy preaching, so it is what it is. It's just, it gives me another time to give a word, so that it's fine with me. It's whatever. But I get where he's coming from, because I've noticed over the past, maybe a couple of years or so, there are certain things in the Bible that it seems like I keep kind of coming back to. I might be doing different sermons and they all have different titles, and I may go to different scriptures here and there, but it's always certain subjects or maybe a few verses of scripture that I end up coming right back around to. And some of them have to do with sowing discord. I think this is maybe my second or third time this year going over it, but something that I've gone over quite a bit just this year alone is false witnessing, bearing false witness, and speaking wrong and evil of people, knowing that it's not true. It's let me explain that. It's one thing to say, I heard da-da-da-da-da. I heard this rumor. I don't know if it's true, but this is what I heard. There's a difference between saying, I heard something, and flat out saying, yes, I know that person did this, and yes, I know that person said that because I was there and I witnessed it. So that would be bearing false witness, is when you're acting like a witness, when you're acting like you were really there, you really saw it, you really heard it for yourself. Now, I heard about this, but I actually heard it myself, or I saw it myself. But you know that you're making it up. You're saying, oh, I saw da 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 da, and you're acting like you were at this place at this time seeing somebody do blah blah blah, when that person may have been out of town during that day or hour, or you might have been out of state when this event occurred. You see what I'm saying? So there's a so I noticed that I keep coming back to the bearing false witness, and so purposely sowing discord among people, and what's the other one? Those are the main ones. But then I also notice every now and then I keep coming back to the Sauls, whether it be of the Old or New Testament, but especially the Old Testament. And also I keep finding myself, no matter, it might be a sermon that doesn't necessarily have to do with Jezebel and Ahab, but I find myself kind of coming back around to that here and there, and touching on that in the King's book, Second Kings, and all that. So I keep having to touch on these things, and I know it's for somebody, I know it, but it just seems like as I'm moving forward to something else, I still kind of got to touch on this and kind of got to touch on that. And no matter how much I, kind of move forward a little bit and talking about something new, I still end up having to kind of mention, even if I don't go to those verses, I feel like I need to mention something for somebody. And so it's almost like, and I'm not trying to figure it out or find it out. It's not my business. It's not. But I'm simply just making a point. It's almost as if maybe somebody listening, and now I don't know if it's somebody that listens regularly, or maybe they just tune in here and there, but evidently somebody that's been listening for quite some time. So I'm assuming it might not be a newer listener, but somebody that's been listening for quite some time. It's almost like I'm giving them something, but it's not so much that they don't get it, or they don't get it's for them. It's like they don't want to receive it, or it's almost like they're trying to bypass it. Like, well, let me just kind of weave my way on around it. And then in my sermons, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to move forward, but I got to keep kind of weaving around and kind of like I'm blocking it. Like, no, like you ain't going to get around this. I got to talk about this again. Like you ain't going to get around it. Nope. I'm going to talk about this again. So it's kind of like, oh, I get to move forward. Nope. Go sit down. But yeah. So for those thinking, well, why would somebody not receive it if they know it's for them? Well, now you see what I'm talking about. If you've been listening to me for a while, you know what I mean. What I'm saying is making sense to you now. So maybe someone's listening, but they're not really embracing what I'm trying to tell them. They know it's for them and they know they need it, but they just, I don't know. Okay. But not trying to make anybody feel bad or nothing, but I'm just putting it out there. Hey, evidently, God's grace is sufficient, and maybe he's just, maybe he's continuously dropping the hints to you. Trying to, like, okay, come on. I'm giving you that push. Come on, come on. So Genesis 26 verse 12. Just this one verse, it says this: Then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold, and the Lord blessed him. 100-fold can simply mean 100 times, a multiplication of 100. So we are reading of someone who sowed in a land, and when the harvest grew and he was ready to receive his harvest, or to reap his harvest, it ended up being 100 times the amount of what he put in, or what he even expected. So, and this is not the only instance of something like this happening in the Bible. So I'm just using this example, this particular one, to simply say this: when you sow, sometimes you might not get just a measurement to reap that's similar to what you put in. Sometimes you may receive a multiplication of what you put out there. Oh, goodness. So if this message has been for you, and you're still not quite convinced that maybe you need to just let it go and do what you know is right, and maybe you need that little extra push, well, this is something for you to think about. Because I've already explained that you can reap what you sow, but now I'm showing you that the reaping, or the repercussions, as I'm going to call it, not the repercussions, the repercussions, the repercussions could just be that you might, reap a multiplication of what you put out there. See, it's not, this doesn't just apply to sowing something good or something positive. It works both ways, even with sowing something bad, like discord. So if you reap what you sow, whether it's good or bad, and we know that you can get a multiplication harvest on something good, surely you can get possibly a multiplication harvest on something bad. So you cause discord amongst people, and it'll turn right back on you. The tables may turn when you least expect it, and now you went from causing problems for a few people to now people are causing problems with you, but it's the number of people causing the problems is a multiplicated number of what you've done. So you might have been causing trouble with 3 people, and now you may have like a threefold multiplication reaping. So now you got 9 people causing you problems and sowing discord between you and people you care about. And it happens without remedy, remember? Without remedy. I talked about that earlier. So if dealing with the repercussions doesn't bother you because you think, well, I can handle it, what if it comes at you when you least expect it at a multiplied amount? What if it is 100-fold? If that right there doesn't make you stop and think for a moment, I don't know what will. That right there should just make your eyes get real wide, like, I didn't think about that. And if you have thought about it, well, man, you really got a bad conscience. You really got that bad conscience. So that's something to consider. And you may say, okay, I get it. What do I do? Well, it's simple. Stop doing what you're doing. Here, get off your knees. Get your nose out of people's buttholes and turn around or repent. And the same way you were on your nose sniffing people in the crack, if you would just get down at the cross, not the crack, but the cross. Okay. and if you would just go back to making God your first love, if you would just go back to Jesus, if you would stop idolizing these people, you have idolized them so much that you have made idols of them. Because you keep putting them first. If you would stop being on your knees before them, figuratively speaking, and literally get on your knees before the Lord and mean it this time, and not go back, you'd have it. It's that simple. But you actually have to mean it, though. That's the thing. In other words, it's not just something you act out. Here, let me put it this way. You know how there's that saying, playing church? And I've heard so many people say it like, over the past maybe 2 or 3 years. Well, God's tired of playing church. God ain't here to play church no more. Either we're going to have church or not play church. Da, da, da. I've heard so many people, preachers on TV and just live and in person. I've heard it, and just everyday people, just so many people say that, God's tired of people just playing church, playing with them, acting like they're worshiping and acting like they care and acting like they serve him in front of people, but behind the scenes, blah, 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 right? So even though it's almost kind of cliche now because it's being just said so much, now I gotta say it. Stop playing. Stop acting. Stop being everybody's robot. Stop being everybody's little wind-up toy. Remember them old back in the day wind-up toys? The dolls. It wasn't about having a battery. They just had that little wind-up knob in the back of the doll, and you had to twist it so many times. And then after a while, the little start doing this right here. Start walking all creepy. And you were supposed to act like, oh wow, it's walking like, a real kid, and it's looking all, it's walking like a robot, but in our minds, oh wow, technology so advanced, but anyway, but that's what I'm saying. And so it's simple. It's just giving your heart back to Jesus, but fully this time. These people that you're brown nosing, they didn't die for you. And as I've explained earlier, if they're going to go down, chances are, if they can, they'll take you down with them. That's not saving you. That's the opposite of saving you. But your Savior, the one who died for you, he's just there waiting. It's that simple. Last place I'm going to take you to, and I'll wrap this up, Job 42. We know how the book of Job plays out. Job, he was a man. He was a righteous man. He loved God. He was faithful to God, this, that, and the other. And he had, plenty of livestock and material possessions and a home and a family and da-da-da-da-da. And here comes Satan. And Satan is saying, God, y'all know how the story plays out. Hey, I know that you think your servant Job is just so wonderful, but the truth is he only loves you so much because he's got all this good stuff going on for him. But I bet you if you take stuff from him and his health starts to decline and all hell breaks loose in his life, and it seems like there's no way for him to get out of it, I guarantee you he is going to start to curse you. He'll turn his back on you and he'll curse you. He'll curse your name. And God had just got done telling Satan, Job, he's a good, faithful servant. He's an upright man, blah, 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 blah. But Satan is arguing with him. He's like, oh, no, I'm sure that if things fall apart in his life, he will curse you. You'll see. And so God moves back the hedge of protection and lets some things start to happen to Job. And of course, his health declines. There's all types of destruction that happens. He loses family members. He loses material possessions. He loses livestock. All kinds of stuff. Even his wife is telling him, why don't you curse God? And his friends are trying to figure out what's going on, and they're just sitting around looking at him, and it's crazy. So all this plays out, and here we are in the last chapter of Job, 42 verse 10. Look at what it says. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Now, before I read the rest of that, look at this. I never realized it until this go-round of reading some of Job, what is happening here in this verse. I've read this story many times, but there's something that I'm just now catching, I believe, and it's this. The first part of verse 10, if you think about it, is sowing and reaping. Because sowing is to send out, or just to send out, to send forward, right? Well, if you think about it, when Job was praying, he was sowing, he was sending something out, similar to when we say sending prayers your way. Just another way of saying I'm praying for you, sending prayers your way, prayers headed your way. So he's sowing because he's praying not for himself, but he's praying for someone else. He's speaking, and of course there's power in the tongue, power in our words. So he's using his words to send something, to sow something. And so he's sowing because he's sending out prayer. And you may be saying, well, wait a minute, he's praying for somebody else, not himself. So but listen to what I'm saying, though. He was praying for them, but he was released from the captivity of what was going on in his life. Listen, Satan no longer had that right to cause him all the trouble that he was causing him. He was no longer bound by the enemy. He was no longer captive to the enemy. So with that said, he sowed, and he was doing it for someone else, but he ended up reaping. And if you think about it, it's similar to like what happens in the New Testament when apostles or, men of God who were out preaching the gospels got put in prison, wrongfully put in prison for doing things like ministering the gospel to people, spreading the good news. And it would say that people outside of the church would be, or people of the church outside of the prisons would be praying for those in the prison. So that's what was happening. He was praying for his friends, but he is released from his captivity, his own personal prison or spiritual prison. Get it? As if someone had been praying for him, as if someone on the outside had been praying for him. So he was helping someone out by praying for them, but whether he realized it or not, he was really sowing, and he reaped because he got out of his captivity as if someone else had been praying for him in return. So what he sent out for someone else just comes right back to him. Okay. Just thought I'd share that. Thought that was cool. But let's look at the last half of verse 10, and then it says this. Also, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Job had a lot at the start, so he lost a lot. But God not only brought restoration, but gave him 2 times as much, double. So I say that to say this. Why? He did not curse God. He remained faithful to God by not cursing God. He was restored and then some because he did not curse God. He received double for his trouble, if that's how you want to put it, multiplication of 2, all because of something that he did not do. And so I say that as I wrap this up to simply say this. As I said earlier in this sermon, you may be at a point where you're thinking, I've got these things going on, and I've been praying for God on some help and some issues in my life. I'm tired of certain things, and yada, 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 and da, 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 da. And what you have to realize is that maybe after all the praying you've probably done, and after asking other people to pray for you, and after, crying on your pillow at night and da-da-da-da-da, maybe the answer to the problem isn't so much that there's something you need to do. Maybe it's not, I got to pray more, I got to do this, got to do that. Maybe it's in not doing something. Job received a multiplication because of something he did not do. Maybe if you did not keep brown nosing people and idolizing people and doing all these things that are keeping you from being in right alignment with God, maybe if you did not sow the discord and keep it or keep attaching yourself to the hip with people who are sowing discord, maybe if you didn't keep bearing false witness or keep attaching yourself to those who are doing it, and you're cheering them on and high-fiving them and clapping them and smiling and joking along with them about it and supporting them, maybe if simply you did not do those things, you did not do something, you ceased to do those things, you stopped doing those things, maybe you would be rewarded for what you are not doing, for what you are no longer doing. Maybe this really is the answer to your scenario. Maybe it's not that you're not doing something or that you're not doing it enough. Maybe it's all in not doing certain things. If you would just not do these things that you already knew from jump you shouldn't be doing, then maybe some good things may come your way, maybe even a multiplication of it. But you can choose that option, or you can choose to receive a multiplication harvest of the discord you've sown. Either one, I don't know. I can't tell you what to do. Kind of like when they say, don't shoot the messenger. Don't take me out. I'm just giving you the message. But yeah, something to think about. Also, let me say this real quick too, touching on what I said about Job praying for his friends. If you've been praying on something, and this is for anybody, even if this message has not been for you, if you've been praying on something for such a long time and you need like a breakthrough, a couple of things. We see Job praying for his friends, and also the word lets us know that we should pray for our enemies. I'm not saying don't pray for yourself, but also make time to pray for your friends and for your enemies, and see if after praying for them for a while, if something in your personal life doesn't change. Kind of like what happened with Job. So, hint, hint. All right. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for another time to minister another word. Lord, praying that hopefully whoever needs this, that they finally decide, yes, I'm going to receive it this time. And that way, maybe some things that they've sown, the bad that they've sown, maybe some of it can at least be canceled out. But Lord, I'm just praying that people would just seek you, seek your face, seek your forgiveness. That's just like right out in the open. You're wide open, Lord. You have new mercy for us every day. You're slow to anger. You're quick to love. You have grace and mercy just flowing for us. We're drowning in it. We just have to receive it. Lord, I thank you. I give you all the praise, the glory, and honor. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.